Oh, 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 it's Advanced Warfare First Impressions video by T-Pole. He's selling out officially. Uh, no, I don't know, I just thought everyone else is doing it, and, I've been playing this game quite a lot over the last week or so, so I do have a fair few opinions that I guess I just want to sort of vent and get out there. So basically this video I'm just going to be talking about what I think of this game so far. Obviously it's stupid or silly to sort of try and review the game at this stage. I mean, it's more of a it is a first impressions video. I'm just going to talk about how I feel the game is upon launch, how its launch has been, what I think is good with the game, what I think needs improving. I'm going to try not to rant too much, try and make it more constructive feedback than anything else. But yeah, basically just going to give my opinions on the game. So start off with things that I like. Firstly, the exosuits and the exo movements, and I think it's great, to be honest. I think it's worked really well. I think it's a breath of fresh air that we needed. COD has been following a very sort of linear dynamic for the last however many years. It's been, obviously they've done things and they've tried to implement things to freshen up the game, but it's basically been the same formula. And this, allows they've done really well, I must say, to keep the COD formula whilst integrating all these new mechanics. And after a couple of hours with the game, I got to the stage where the movement's very intuitive. It's pretty easy to get to grips with, and once you get to grips with it, it is actually really fun and really satisfying to sort of leap and jump and slide around. And as I said, all still feeling very much like COD. So congratulations to Sledgehammer. It was quite a ballsy move to make, and they've done it, and it works really well. So I'm really pleased with that. I really like the way that feels. I think it's going to benefit the game a lot. I think it makes the game a lot more entertaining. I think you can do so many more different things in gunfights, and I also think it adds that sort of extra skill element to the game, which we needed really, because COD's a game you die so quickly, and we all know that anyone can get a kill in COD. So I think to add that sort of dynamic to the game has made it really fun. And on top of that, as well as sort of, I think something that people forget about that Sledgehammer have done well. So obviously you're implementing all these new movements and the ability to double jump and so on. So the maps themselves have actually, I think, done. They play quite well, considering it's hard to predict how people are going to play. Obviously, there's a lot of rooftop camping, as everyone could have anticipated. But for the most part, the maps flow pretty nicely. The objectives are all in decent points. There are not too many lines of sight. There are lots of different ways you can go. It's really, as I said, fun and rewarding to jump and slide and go from rooftop to rooftop and through windows and stuff. So yeah, the maps and the exosuits all work really well in this game. And the other thing that I like about this game is the sort of the game modes and the sort of real shift. You can tell competitive was a big sort of part of Sledgehammer's thought process when putting this game together. And you can look at the way Hardpoint plays, the introduction of uplink, momentum's back. Domination. I said these are all the game modes that work the best, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I've also heard that 4v4. I haven't tried the rank playlist. I haven't been brave enough to go in there yet, but I've heard 4v4 actually works really well in this game, and it wouldn't surprise me to learn that this game was actually built around 4v4 because 6v6 is very chaotic, and people move quickly and cover so much ground in very unpredictable ways, and it's very chaotic. I can't imagine what ground was like, Christ. But if someone said that these were all built around 4v4 and 4v4 really feels right, then I could definitely believe that. So I will try the rank playlist. there's a group of us that I'm sure will get on that at some point, and if things go well enough, maybe you'll see some of that footage. But probably not. But I like that sort of move towards competitive, and I think generally it's good for COD developers to have a competitive sort of at the forefront of what they're trying to do, because I think it's a positive influence on the game as a whole. I made my thoughts on the sniping community and the trolling community, and there are all these sort of cancerous communities in COD. But I think the competitive one is good because it encourages people to play the game the right way. It encourages people to sort of move and play smart and try and get better at the game as well, which is a big thing. Encouraging people to want to improve and want to play the right way. So I think that's good, and I'm really glad that Sledgehammer has sort of taken that approach, and hopefully the rank playlist will be comparable to League Play and Black Ops 2, because that would be great, and I'm really looking forward to that. So things that I'm not liking about this game. Obviously, the first things that I'm going to talk about is the connection, and it's always the way when a new COD comes out. It takes the developers a little bit of time to sort of get the net code just right. But obviously, it is the main sort of factor that is hindering this game's enjoyment for me. I think, and for a lot of people, it's not fun. As fun as it is running around and jumping and getting to do all that cool stuff, if every time you see someone you're piling a lot of bullets into them and they're killing you instantly, it's just, it's very wearing. And I'm finding at the moment I can play this game for about an hour and a half, and then I'm really I just can't take it anymore. And I think if the connection was on point, and I've had games, as you've seen this game, and there's a clip on Riot that I'll put at the end. The connection's on point. It is really fun. It is a really good game. It is a very rewarding game. But when it's not, it's just that same old COD sort of frustration that we're all used to. And they need to figure that out, and I'm sure they will, and I'm sure it will get better. As I said, this is just a first impressions video. It's just something that has been bothering me, this first week of the game's life cycle. Sort of hand in hand with the connection issues is the skill-based matchmaking, which I think at this stage everyone's pretty certain is in the game. And obviously that hampers the connection too, because it prioritises the players you're playing against and by your stats or whatever, and not by your location or your connection. And that, to me, that's just there's so many reasons, and I've probably talked about this before, but there's so many reasons why that's backwards to me and why it makes no sense. And hopefully that was something that will be addressed. I mean, for what it's worth, the skill-based matchmaking it works to perfection. I mean, I am playing against people that are basically me. They're as good as me. They play the same way I do. They sort of have the same sort of loadout that I do. I mean, it works, and you don't see many scrubs. You don't see many snipers. You see lots of tryhards basically. And the other sort of, I guess, little bit of proof I would say I'd put towards skill-based matchmaking being the game for anyone that sort of doesn't, might have their doubts. My sister, she plays. She started getting into this. Has been her first real COD experience. And she's got about 0.6 KD, 0.7 KD or something, and she'll play on her own, and she'll be going 30 kill games. She'll be going double positive, top of the lobby, and she'll come in the party with us, and we're not exactly godlike on this game, believe me. But our stats, I think I'm sitting at like a 158 KD or something, about 330 score per minute. My friends are all similar, a bit better, a bit worse, whatever. And she'll play with us, and she's struggling, to get like 5 kills sometimes. She's really, really tough, coming out the bottom. And there's no other way. She's not getting a load worse. She's just playing against a lot better players, and that's just evidence, I think, for skill-based matchmaking, alongside the fact that the connection is very inconsistent. But it is what it is, I guess. And connection, as I said, I'm not too worried about it. It's normally one of the things that gets a lot better over time. And I remember Black Ops 2 definitely did. I think this game early on, I think it actually has a chance to be better than Black Ops 2. But I do think they need to sort that connection and matchmaking sort of system out, because I don't know what, again, it makes the ranked playlist obsolete. It's not fun to play against tryhards all the time, and as I said, and it hampers the connection. And as I said, this game is, with the way that people move and as quick as the guns kill, and the connection has to be on point, otherwise it doesn't work. None of it works. You can't have people being invisible and being able to slide and double jump over you and boost slam and all that if the guns aren't working either. So they need to sort that out, and I'm confident they will. The final sort of thing they really, I think, need to address is obviously the gun balance. Right now, SMGs are very, very weak. The snipers suck, but I think that's definitely for the best. I don't, the laser weapons, they seem just a bit of a gimmick, really. I've tried them out a couple of times, but I guess it's difficult because obviously you're training a fine line. If you make weapons that can sort of fire infinitely powerful, then that's going to be risky. But above all else, they need to do with the gun balances. They need to nerf this gun, the BAL 27, because it is just the god gun of this game. Everyone's using it. I'm using it because I don't want to put myself at that disadvantage. It kills better than any SMG or shotgun up close. It, kills over long range. Great. It's got good magazine size. I mean, there's nothing. It's the perfect gun. So I don't think the solution is to make the other guns more powerful. I don't think people having weapons that are have more damage and are more accurate is a good thing. I don't. You already die so quick, but I do think they need to nerf this gun and sort of bring it back to the rest of the pack. So you can use a more varied variety of guns because right now I'm using this, everyone else is using this. It's just the only gun because, as I said, if you're not using it, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And I guess the final point on that regard is the perk system, and this is sort of a bit more troublesome to me because I don't really know what they can do to address it. They talked long and hard at the beginning of, before the game came out, about how there'd be no clutch perks, about how toughness wouldn't be essential, and so on. But unfortunately, there are a few clutch perks. I still find toughness a must-run perk for me because, as I said, the people you're playing against, they'll shoot you back. They're hot on it. So you need that toughness. But the other two perks, obviously, that I'm going to mention here are low profile. It's a level 1 unlock, so naturally everyone's running it. I mean, even though UAVs are fucking hard to get, I suppose you can run support, but it's just a must-run perk because everyone's running it. So if you're not running it, you're the only red dot showing up on the radar, and yeah, I mean, it's just you need to run it, and the same thing goes for Blast Suppressor. And Rob and I had this conversation before this game came out when we heard about this perk. I said I thought it was going to be bad for the game because I thought everyone would have to run it, and don't want to say I told you so, but I was kind of right because they missed a trick there because it was really fun at the beginning of the game when you didn't have Blast Suppressor. You had to be sort of wary and sort of careful about when you used your exo movements, and there was a tactical element there. If you were in enemy territory, you couldn't just sort of jump and slide all over the place. You needed to be careful. You needed to know what was going on. Now they've made it a lot more that you can just jump around completely at your leisure, which, as I said, I guess it's good. It makes the game fun. In theory, maybe it speeds the game up. But if they're going to do that and they're going to have that attitude and want everyone to boost around, then just don't make it show you on the minimap at all, and remove the perk, and therefore it frees up a perk slot for something else, and not everyone has to run it. And as I said, because I feel toughness is a must-run perk too, therefore I'm using my perk 3 wildcard, and that's 3 slots on every class that has to go up, and obviously the BAL primary gunfighter is another 7 slots. So my classes are very are all very similar, and maybe I need to be a bit more adventurous, but at the same time, the way the connection is and the people I'm playing against, I don't particularly fancy putting myself at that much of a disadvantage. I just want to learn the game and try and have some fun with it, and that's kind of what I'm having to do right now. I mean, I'll put my hand up. I'm sorry, I'm not good enough at this game to just run around with any old weapon and kick ass. I can't do it. I need to use the best gun. I need to try hard. I need to do X, Y, and Z to do well. And even then, we'll face it. I've used this gun and I've had my ass handed to me by tryhards and connections. So I'm not going to take any crap for that. That's just how it is. And the way I see it, the onus is on the developers to nerf that gun and make the game more balanced. So that's pretty much it, really. The game, it's hard, but it is fun, and as I said, if they can just fix a couple of the minor issues, as a connection, matchmaking, I think will be fine. Potentially, sort of another point, maybe a respawn sort of delay in some of the competitive game modes. Hardpoint, Dom, as I said earlier, even though they play well and they are fun, it can get a little crazy sometimes. So, maybe they could look at some of those things. But other than that, as I said, the game's it's good, and I think it's got the potential to be a very, very good Call of Duty, maybe the best ever. I don't know. I mean, it could be very exciting with the way the new XO movements work and that new element they've added to the game. Gunfights are a lot more interesting now, and there's a lot more that you can do. The game doesn't follow that same linear dynamic that we're all used to. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, see what they do with the patches and so on and so forth. See how the community adapts and evolves, because obviously, everyone's going to eventually find that combination that will break the game, or that will be really overpowered and cheap. But we'll take it when it comes, I guess. And for the time being, I am enjoying myself. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. If you happen to listen this far, let me know what you think about Advanced Warfare. And yeah, see ya.